all geared towards the mind. And mind is the subject of this yoga, dhyana yoga. It's all concentrated on the mind. So I'll just read the translation again. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it seems to me more difficult than controlling the wind. Now, we went through chapter 6, text 1 and 4. It talks about advancing in yoga through detached work. Text 5 to 9, it talks about the yoga rudha stage, giving up work. Text 10 to 32, it talks about further stages in the practice of yoga. Text 33 to 36, which we are in now, it talks about necessity in controlling the mind. Then further on, 37 to 45, it talks about the destination of the unsuccessful yogi. And 46 to 47, it talks about the topmost yogi. Now, as we know, the mind can be very, very unsteady. There are a number of things we can think about the mind. First of all, it's restlessness. It can be restless, then unsteady, then other one is flickering, then turbulent, obstinate, and finally, very strong. So those are the things mind actually faces. There's lots of things mind faces. So mind is like a wind, unstoppable enemy. So when you think about mind's unrest, actually, that is very much a chronic disease. And here, when I was listening to the lecture, it says chronic disease that won't respond to medicine. Probably you can confirm whether that is right or not, Kirtika Mataji, whether that mind's unrest, it is a chronic disease that won't respond to medicine. So,
yeah. So, and when I read that, I was thinking of even the placebo effect. So when we give medicines or when we do trials, clinical trials, we give the real medicine to few people and the no drug or an empty pill, or it's called a placebo to some people. However, some people in the placebo group where they don't get the medicine, they just get an empty capsule just with some powder in it. They feel that they've got the drug and they start reacting to it. Yeah, so they give the symptoms. If it is, for example, let's say a placebo trial for paracetamol. So the people who get the real paracetamol, their fever will come down. But in the placebo group, they've seen that even though they have not been given paracetamol, their fever has come down because they have thought with their mind, oh, I've got the medication and therefore my fever should go down. So the mind is so strong that way. But it can be so obstinate that it will say, okay, I'm not going to react to it. So in people who have had paracetamols, who have had the drugs, in their mind, they think that they've got the placebo and they will exhibit that they have not responded to the fever. So it is a very strong thing, even as we do clinical trials and taking of drugs.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the reflections. Actually, I should have mentioned that Prahlad has given a very good reflections. So I should always try to praise him because of his age, first of all, and he actually goes thoroughly through the Bhagavad Gita and actually the purport given by Prabhupada. So I'm just going on with what I have gathered together here, my notes. So after hearing of the strict discipline of Dhyana Yoga, Arjuna frankly admits that his inability to practice it. This practice is impractical and unendurable. He exclaims, to discipline the mind is more difficult than controlling the wind. So that's what he's saying. So, so Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, I think that the summary of the yoga system which you have prescribed is very difficult for me on the account of my agitated mind. Chanchalatvat, chanchalatvat means agitated mind. So we must always remember that we are in material circumstances where at every moment our mind can be agitated. So this material world is such that our mind is always agitated. We are not in a very comfortable situation. Okay, we are not very comfortable. We are thinking the situation will save me from further anxieties of my mind. But when I reach that point, I feel the anxieties have increased because the nature of the material world is like that. You cannot be free from anxiety. And this is this came from one of the lectures from Prabhupada, which he gave to, I think it was in New York sometime in 1968. So that was his lecture. So I'll continue with the further thing which Prabhupada describes. He covers also something from the previous verse, which is verse number 33. So in previous text, Arjuna cannot be a pretender. He says, Yoyam yoga stoya prokta. The summary description of the yoga system which you have given, Samyena Madhusudana. Krishna's other name is Madhusudana. So here, I don't know whether people know how many names of Krishna are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. There are different names mentioned in Bhagavad Gita according to the activities Krishna performed. So in Bhagavad Gita, there are over 40 names given of Krishna, referring to the different type of activities. So Madhusudana means actually he killed a demon whose name was Madhu. So what is the purpose of Arjuna's addressing Krishna as Madhusudana? He could have directly addressed him as Krishna because he's best known as Krishna. Yeah. So why is he saying Madhusudana? This means or refers to that mind is like a big demon, just like Madhu. If it were possible to kill this demon, then we could attain yoga. You are the killer of Madhu. I think that my mind is stronger than this Madhu demon. And so if you can kill it, then it is possible for me to accept this yoga system. So that's what he's saying. But I cannot. So Arjun actually is describing his deficiency. My mind is restless and agitated. Chanchala means restless. Chanchala hi mana Krishna, pramati. Pramati means just like madman, without any brain. Pramati and Balavat, oh mind, is dragging me somewhere else. I'm trying. No mind, don't go there. Oh no, my mind say, no, I must go. And sometimes we agree, all right, let me go there. Yeah, so the mind thinks, oh, let me go. So mind is very strong, which is Balavat. In this text is mentioned as Balavat. So Arjuna is saying, Tasyaham nigraham. The sum and substance of yoga system is to control the mind. The agitated mind has to be controlled and focused on the super soul. Now Arjuna says, Tasyaham nigraham manye. The mind is so agitated that to cut down the mind is as impossible as stopping the hurricane. So just imagine the hurricane. Can you really stop the hurricane? No. So suppose there is a hurricane blowing very strongly and one stands before it. Spreading some of your arms, you can't really stop it. No, I will stop it. Is it possible? No, you can't stop it. So that's how our mind works. So I'm just going along with what Prabhupada mentioned about Arjuna. You can imagine the qualification of Arjuna, who 5,000 years ago is understanding Bhagavad Gita from his friend, Krishna. He is a direct friend of Krishna and is a great warrior. Comparing his knowledge to ours, which is understood in a lifetime at the present moment. So you just think about Bhagavad Gita. It was spoken to Arjuna in 45 minutes, and he understood it in 45 minutes. Just think about us, actually. Can we understand Bhagavad Gita in 45 minutes? No, we can't. We have to take so long to understand it. Sorry. Sorry, I have to charge my phone, so I'm just getting the charger. Okay. So can we actually control? I was on Arjuna. Can we actually digest the Bhagavad Gita in 45 minutes? So we can't. So imagine how intelligent Arjuna was, and he belonged to actually royal family, and still he accepts it is not possible for me. Do you think that was impossible for Arjuna in such favorable circumstances? So is it possible for us to discharge? Do we actually belong to the category of Arjuna? No. We are 1,000 times lower than Arjuna's category. Just think about his concentration of mind. I just recall during Mahabharata, actually, Arjuna was asked to look at the birds. You know, every Pandava was asked to look at how can you actually, what do you see? There was a bird on a tree. So as a Kshatriya, Arjuna was so perfect and his concentration was so perfect, he could see, he mentioned it to Dronacharya, that I can see the eye of the bird. And that's how perfect he was in his concentration. So just think of that and now. So when Prahlad mentioned that actually we are, Arjuna is representing us, and it is true. He is actually representing us. And Bhagavad Gita was spoken so long ago, and it is still relevant now, and it will be relevant in future as well. So there is a story Prabhupada mentioned in Bengali. There is a nice story to illustrate this point. There was big overflowing river. At that time, everyone had to cross the river either by small boat or by swimming. So generally, the animals were allowed to swim across the river, while men took small boats. There was a very strong current, and so many horses were swept away. So then the lean horse came there and asked, "How strong is the current?" I mean, just think about it. Lean horse is asking, "How strong is the current?" And there was quite a lot of horses swept away. So is there a question to ask, really? So it's just um, giving us an example of how our mind works. So if something it was impossible for Arjuna, who was so advanced in every respect and directly a friend of Krishna, then how could it possible for me? Vayor Eva, just as it is impossible to control a hurricane, is it is impossible for me to control my mind, then how to control my mind? That's the question by Arjun. So what can we learn from this? If you think about it, um, that our mind is naughty and haughty. I don't know whether you know the meaning of naughty and haughty. So Chanchala points to naughtiness like a child's naughtiness. However, the mind is more dangerous than a mischievous child because it is not naughty but also haughty. Haughtiness actually is attributed to, is associated with arrogant people, very much proud, who are full of themselves to even respect others, let alone learn anything from them. So whoever, at least naughty people, you can teach them what to do. But the haughty people, they've got that much pride and proud, and sometimes it's very difficult. So this verse declares mind haughtiness by declaring it is to be obstinate, drudam, which is obstinate. When the mind gets obsessed with something, say the notion that a particular activity is pleasurable, it holds on to that notion mullishly. Even when good reasoning that exposes the notion insubstantiality. So haughtiness is harmful than naughtiness, as naughtiness is rectifiable through teaching, as I mentioned before. The haughty think that they don't learn anything from anyone. So conclusion on this one, as I said, what are we learning? So Gita wisdom actually offers a more palatable way to cure both naughtiness and haughtiness. Both are our innate need for pleasure. One misdirected towards frivolity and other towards pompousness. The Gita offers a higher way to happiness through devotional connection with Krishna, the reservoir of all happiness. No doubt, the mind can misdirect our devotional services too. But as devotional provides a higher test, neglecting the mind's misdirection and fixing it on Krishna is easier than merely repressing its naughty and haughty tendencies. The more we habituate ourselves to fixing our mind on Krishna and find joy therein, the more the mind naturally gives up its naughtiness and haughtiness. So the more we strengthen our emotional connection with Krishna through the practice of bhakti yoga, the quicker we can avoid the mind storms and stay purposeful and eventually become successful. So when we meditate on Krishna's greatness, he's far stronger than the mind. And the kindness, he's so kind. He loves, so you have to say, he loves me so much and will help me control the mind. So gradually, the higher fulfillment coming from steady devotion purifies the mind, and it is malevolent impurities and of its malevolent impurities and transforms it into benevolent companion of our march to transcendence. So it eventually uh, brings us to the transcendental devotional service of the Lord, and that is very important. So that's me. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you so much. I mean, we are in the process of reading the Bhagavad Gita. We have now learned that there's a difference between the mind and intelligence. Before we even started our journey, We used to think the mind is the intelligence. And today we have now learned the character of the mind, what it is made up of, and what is its characteristics. And I really like your naughty and haughty, because it really means, it really depicts the actual picture of how the mind is. Prabhuji, I had a question. So my mind is mine, yeah? And if I desire to be Krishna conscious, I have to do chanting, I have to obey the regulatory principles, etc. So why, I know because the mind is haughty and naughty, but why doesn't the mind understand that it is good for me, because it is my mind, I have made a decision. Why does this mind object and not be with me all the time?
Okay. So first of all, we know about reincarnation, and we know about the previous births. So whenever, we die, we carry our impressions with us. And those are the subtle impressions, subtle, like mind, intelligence, and false ego. Everything else will die, but that mind, intelligence, and false ego will carry us from this birth to the next birth. Okay? So it depends on actually how much we have done in our previous life to this life. The more we have done, more like now we are doing Krishna consciousness. We will carry whatever we are doing now to our next life, whatever percentage we have done. So for instance, we don't go to Goloka in our next life, but we are actually doing Krishna consciousness now. So there is that percentage of us which is more favorable towards Krishna consciousness. So in our next life, it will be much more easier to control our mind in Krishna consciousness if we don't make it. So to answer your question, this is all to do with our conditioning from our previous life and the modes of the material nature, which will be discussed in the chapter 14, I think, the three gunas, sattva, rajo, and tamo guna, which are always carried to our next birth. So that's the answer to that.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Are there any other questions or comments? Prabhuji has kindly stepped in, and at the last minute, he agreed to be our mentor, and we are really getting pearls of wisdom from him. If anybody has a question, kindly please ask a question or comments. Divesh Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, thank you for joining in.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I'd just like to say thank you for this. It's very knowledgeable. And I've just realized that the mind is very turbulent. And the distinction between intelligence and mind was quite well explained. Maybe a thought or a question is, if we bring out, the mind is agitated, so that means we're bringing this from the previous births. So the only way prescribed to calm the mind is the Hare Krishna mantra, or is there any other way? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I don't know whether you've heard the previous lectures, that the age we are in at the moment, which is Kali Yuga, and in Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually has given us the easier way of attaining, the Lord, through chanting of the Harinam. So, I don't know whether you know, Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, Gatir Anyata. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way apart from chanting the names of Hari in this age of Kali. That's what it means. So that is actually given to us in this age of Kali to say this is the only way. Previously in the other yuga, there was, the yoga practice. Then there was yoga and meditation, and there was yagna as well. People used to do yagna, and there was the devotional, in the last one was the devotional practice, by serving the Lord. But in this age, because our mind is so turbulent, this is the way actually to achieve it. Because just imagine our concentration in this age is very, very weak. So then, the chanting of the Hari Nam is the easiest way to achieve the goal. So I don't know whether that answers your question.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your explanation. I have one further question. Is it only the Hare Krishna mantra, or you can chant any Lord's name? Kindly clarify. Thank you.
Okay, so there are, I don't know whether there are different paramparas. So there are 4 recognized parampara. We are in Gaudiya parampara or Brahma Sampradaya, which is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lineage of that. And there are other sampradaya like a Rudra Sampradaya. And then within the Rudra Sampradaya, there is this, I don't know, Vallabhacharya. I don't know whether you know about Vallabhacharya. And they actually meditate on the Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama. So that's what they meditate on. And there are other qualified sampradayas. They have got their own chanting. The other one was they chant Radhe Radhe. So I think it's Nimbarka Sampradaya. So those 4 qualified sampradaya, any of those 4 can achieve your goal actually. But we are concentrating on the Gaudiya Sampradaya, which is through the lineage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so we chant the Harinam, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that's what it is.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your clarification. May I know how long you have been in ISKCON, or just how long have you been associated with all this?
Prabhu, I've been associated with ISKCON for a long time, but I've been probably more serious about it for the past 5 or 6 years, I would guess. That's what it is. But my knowledge is still very much low, and I'm still learning, Prabhu.
Prabhu, it was a very interesting insight today. Thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, how long is your journey? How long has your journey been in Krishna consciousness? Divesh Prabhuji?
Okay, slowly it's been there since a very young age, but more so, I guess, in the last maybe 9-10 years.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Lawrence Prabhuji, do you have a question or comment? Thank you for joining in today with us and giving us your association.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So I read a while ago about a text in chapter 10, text 20, the opulence of the absolute. So it mentioned that Arjun was named as Gudakesh, one who had conquered ignorance. So the ability for for Arjun to understand or to digest Bhagavad Gita the way Prabhu said in a very short time is because he was not under the influence of ignorance. And so for us, it is a bit difficult, but through devotional service, we can be able to purify our way up and get to understand this, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. That was really valid. We learned a new term today, conqueror of ignorance. And Arjuna was called Gudakesh. And if he had problems with controlling his mind and he is the conqueror of ignorance, imagine us. So I know our boats are shaky, but at least there is hope. And we've been shown that the hope is by chanting attentively.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu? Okay. Any other questions? Vivek Prabhuji, you have been silent. Is Congo allowing you to talk to us or interact with us? Your internet in Congo?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yesterday also my internet dropped while I was talking. I
It's
could
okay.
not attend the full program. Hare Krishna to all.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We can
So
hear you. So if you have
if I
comments
start
or
talking, it will disconnect in between. I don't want to disturb everyone.
okay,
But
Prabhu.
I'm thankful to you and everyone in the group.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your association. Thank you for being in the group. But if you have any comments or questions,
Thanks, Mataji.
we'll understand if you fade off. Okay. Are there any other questions?
No questions today, Mataji.
Okay, so today's discussion has really been quite simple and succulent, and people have enjoyed it. And I think we are trying to understand, and it is now sinking in. So thank you very much. Any other questions? Kumar Prabhuji, Lata Mataji, Prahlad?
Mataji, very simple, just my Prabhuji explained very well, but physically doing is very, very hard.
Don't we know,
Sloga itself is saying, even the controlling wind is Arjuna. Great Arjuna is saying controlling wind is easier than controlling mind. It's very true, but of course, controlling wind also not possible for us.
Yeah, Prabhu, and the mind will play real good tricks. And it's good to share, because once you share your reflections, then others will feel, okay, even I'm suffering this, even I'm having this problem. So when we share and when we discuss
We
it,
feel better.
like my mind one day said, oh, look, you have been able to get up at 4 o'clock. That was your aim. So it's okay, now go to sleep. You just proved that you are able to get. So it will play all these funny tricks. Okay, thank you very much, Kumar Prabhuji. Lawrence Prabhuji, your hand is raised. Do you have a question, comment?
Yes, is it possible for us to attain the level of that of Arjun, where he was able to conquer ignorance?
Yes, I think so. You can reach that level of Arjuna through chanting and becoming pure. I mean, once you chant, and like say, it's a difficult journey, but there are stages of bhakti. I don't know whether you know about the stages of bhakti. First of all, we need to do kirtana, then sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, then anartha nivritti is the key stage. Actually, anartha nivritti is getting rid of all the bad habits, and that usually takes longer for everyone to get rid of anartha nivritti, which is to get rid of our bad habits, our bad things which we do. Usually that is the longest period, and once we go from there, then we can go towards bhava stage, which is nearing to loving the Lord, and then prema stage, which is pure love of Lord. And so that it is possible, but it is gradual. Some people can go very quickly. I'm just saying on my own to say for me, it's a gradual step towards that. But I don't know how far I am, but it is possible for anyone actually. So that's what my answer is to that.
So now we know the goal. So that's half the battle won. If we know the goal, we know the goal. So now we can walk towards it. We can be anywhere, but at least we know where we have to reach. Divyesh Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vishaka Mataji. Divyesh Prabhuji had a question. Or do you want to add on to this?
Probably she wanted to add something to
Yes,
my
Mataji,
answer.
please add on. Then Prabhuji can ask his question later.
Actually, my only concern is we know the stages. We know that we have to control the mind. We know that through devotion we will progress. All that is correct and it's the right way. But again, as we said, sometimes your mind knows, your intelligence knows this is right, this is wrong. But however, no matter how much you try, you just fall back for whatever reason. As Prabhuji said, conditioning. Yes, that may be the reason. But then this is my worry all the time, that this way I will be going to and fro. My life will end, yeah, and then I might get another birth, and God forbid if that conditioning pulls me even further down, then where do I stand? What will happen to me? Because just one night you sleep and the next morning you wake up and your mind is all over, until you have to really bring it back gradually. Now, for us to be born again and have another life, uh, yes, you are aspiring to progress and you have taken your some percentage of your bhakti, but how are we sure that we won't fall down? Yeah, and what if we fall down? Then where it's like it's going forward and backwards. That's my concern. It's just
Yes, Mataji, I think that's a real
all these
concern.
things.
And for all of us who are aspiring devotees, we have that problem. So
It
Prabhuji,
is definitely. I think it is everyone's concern, but sometimes you see number of children actually. They come to know the slokas just straight away. They can recite all 700 slokas of Bhagavad Gita without any problem. So sometimes you think, how comes this person has got so much knowledge of these slokas? This person can recite the slokas without any problem. So there must be something in their previous birth. That's why they've taken their percentage from their previous birth to this birth. So there is that sort of thing. And we have heard quite a lot about people, talking about the previous life as well. We know previous life, there is reincarnation, and they can discuss. So there is that sort of hope. So only answer to that Vishaka Mataji's or Vishaka's question, shouldn't call her Mataji, that it is evidence is there. We can see in the young children nowadays who can actually recite the slokas without any problem. So it's always why somebody can progress in Krishna consciousness very quickly, why some people are slower. So it is definitely according to what we carried from the last birth.
So in short, we just have faith and continue with this journey.
That's right. The faith is main thing. Faith is main thing. I think to build the faith, we have a flickering faith at the moment. And so from flickering faith, we go to sadhu sangha, then bhajana kriya, Anatta Nivrati, Bhava stage, then Ruchi stage, Asakti stage, and then Prema at the end. So that is the key, is never to leave this ISKCON and carry on with that faith and associate with the devotees and read books, sadhu, shastra, and sangha. So those three things.
And Prabhuji, I even read that when you are feeling that you are going down and down and down, so like Radhanath Swami said in one of his lectures that there are only two stages in Krishna consciousness. Either you go down, 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 or you go up and up and up. But like Vishaka Mataji, even I have that problem. I go down, then I go down 3 steps, come up 1 step, go down 1 step, come up 2 steps, go down. So maybe I'm shuttling where I was, or a little bit here and there. So I think this is very common that we shuttle between the thing. And I was told that when you are in that stage, when you're not continuously going up, that means there is something wrong that you are doing. And at that time, it is good to seek association. If you are initiated, obviously, of your guru, but even association of people who are around you to say, hey, where am I going wrong? This has been happening. So that will help us to go baby tiny steps up, but at least not continuously fall down. So to recognize it is also, Vishaka Mataji, I think you've brought out a very big issue. To recognize that we are falling is a big thing, because otherwise we'll be the haughty type. We'll be arrogant, proud, and pompous that, oh, I'm all, I'm going up. But to recognize that this is happening, I think, and when you recognize that, quickly take association of somebody that can help you in this journey. And there are lots of help available.
Yeah, and also I don't know whether you know the slok, one of the sloks in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajami aham. The amount of whatever you surrender to the Lord, that is the amount He will reciprocate with us. So sometimes we partially surrender to the Lord, and that is how partially He will reciprocate to us. So the total surrender is very much important, which we are not in that stage at the moment, but gradually we'll get to that stage of total surrender to the Lord. So our mind still thinks we are the doers, yeah, but we are actually not the doers. So that's what we need to total surrender to the Lord, and that will come with practice, with sadhu sangha and so on, like you mentioned.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Divyesh Prabhuji, your hand is up since quite some time. It must be aching now.
Hare Krishna, no need to apologize. We're all in the same forum. It's very interesting to hear everything. I just want to add to Lawrence Prabhuji's question and Vishaka Mataji. The answer is yes. We can achieve Arjun's the same qualities. If we read the Bhagavad Gita 10.10, the Lord himself says, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Now, here, Lord Krishna he's the one to give us understanding, and all we have to do is, the key word is constantly devoted, right? In serving me with love. So constant devotion with love, you keep on doing that. Don't worry about fluctuations like a pendulum.
Yeah.
You just look at your past life for the last 5-10 years. Just analyze yourself. Have you been progressing 1%, 2% more? As long as that percentage is increasing, you don't need to stress about anything. At the end of the day, the Lord also said, bhakti will never go to waste. Now, the good thing about bhakti is, don't worry about where you're born in your next life as well. All these things should not be our worry. This is Lord Krishna's worry. He said that he's going to, wherever you stopped, you're going to begin from there. So if you're doing 10 rounds of chanting, you don't achieve it this life, next life, your 10 will be just easy. You'll now be progressing from there. So in terms of bhakti, As long as you're doing bhakti, you'll never go down. Don't worry about that. He's also said that he's also assured us in 10.9, just a verse before, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. So he's constantly, the pure devotees, we are in his mind. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. This is what we're doing right now. We're conversing about him, and we're happy, right? In this 1 hour of our lecture every day, I think we forget about the world normally, right? We go into great depth, and we try and progress ourselves. Now, he has assured us, we're in his mind, he has also assured us that if we are constantly devoted to him with love, he will give us the understanding by which we can come to him. Now, sometimes when we go through trouble, or sometimes your mind wanders, he's making us understand, he's forming our foundations. So don't stress about that. It's okay. Let's smile, enjoy the journey, and know that he's our boss. We are always in his mind, all right? And long as we are always keeping him in our mind. Now, the mind is going to play games, definitely, because we're in this age. And this is part of our karmas that we have done, that we're on this planet. Had we not had our own personal selfish goals in our previous lives, we would not be here. Secondly, where we are is quite, we're quite fortunate that we actually have the Bhagavad Gita in front of us and we can read it. These are the Lord's own personal words. So we are very, very fortunate. Secondly, if he didn't want us, he shares this confidential knowledge only with his friends and the ones who are dear. So already, by him sharing with us means we're dear and we are his friends. So we're already on the path. So don't worry about fluctuations in the mind. Don't worry about mood swings. Don't worry that we think, no. Let's just have faith and chant his name with love. The more problems you have, think about him even more. Don't worry. Just say, look, this is, he's always making our life easier than we're supposed to suffer, to be honest. I think we must have committed great sin even just to be this. Yet he's come back. He's in our hearts. He's guiding us through step by step. He's given us the way to get back to him. The good thing is he's given us the secret, and he shared his path with us, and he showed openly. All you have to do is Harinam Kirtan, as Prabhuji mentioned in the lecture. Just chant his name with love and devotion and have faith. That's it. So don't worry at all. And as the motto says, chant and be happy. That's it. There's nothing bad that can happen to us, because what he has said, he has also said that what a devotee lacks, he will add it for him. In one of the verses, I don't remember of it. So once you have Krishna on your side, you need not worry about anything or anyone in your life. And remember, I tell this to everyone, from my wife to my friends to everyone. We're only answerable to Krishna, nobody else on this world. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you. It was very reassuring. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you. We need to reassure ourselves. You really asked a pertinent question.
Yeah, he stressed, he covered 10:8 to 10:11, which are the Chatur Shloki, which is actually the basis of Bhagavad Gita. So those are the Chatur Shloki, very important, very important.
Thank you. Okay, we have exceeded our time today. We have another person over here, 927-355-7501. Kindly identify yourself, Hare Krishna. Okay, there is a question or comment from Lawrence Prabhuji. He will give us what we lack and preserve what we have.
Yeah, that's a comment.
927, are you ready to identify yourself, Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna, hi. Is this me?
Okay.
Can you? Hi, sorry, cooking here.
We can see your delicious roti as well. Welcome to this group.
Thank you. I've just joined that group yesterday, and then I'm a big follower of Krishna. So, like, I've heard a lot about this, this group, but then I never had, like, any contacts or any chance. So, luckily, one of our friend, like, she introduced me about this group and this Vishakha ma'am. So, like, I spoke to her yesterday, and like, she added me in the group. So, this is. I told her that, like, she was mentioning that that there will be a like Zoom session like every day 5 o'clock. I said, like, the 5 o'clock one will be a bit difficult for me because I work. So I literally joined like 5 minutes back, but I said, like, she said there is another one on Wednesday, like late evening, so I can join that one. Like, I told her, but then I actually checked. I was just checking if it is like still going on. I can even, like, I'm in here like 5-10 minutes, whatever it is. So I just joined.
Thank you very much for your association, Mataji. And it is from 5 to 6, and yes, it overruns. So feel free to join in whenever. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we are ending the session now. So everybody kindly unmute yourself and let's chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to glorify Avinash.
Mataji, sorry, just before you end the session, I think Lawrence Prabhuji has quoted that verse.
Yes.
Let's just read it quickly. 1 second. It's from chapter 9.22. Thank you, Lawrence Prabhuji. It says the most confidential knowledge. Krishna says, but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So, Mataji, Prabhuji, don't stress about anything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That is the essence of today's session. Prabhuji, I didn't inform you, but when you just started saying I started recording, is it okay for me to record this session?
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine.
And then we have a YouTube link, and we upload all our recorded sessions on that. So can I put it on the YouTube link?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, fine. So I'll do that. Okay, let's chant the Maha Mantra. It has been a very good session today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Kripa
kripa
sindhubhya
sindhubhya
eva cha patitanam
patitanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Jai.
Avinash Prabhuji ki Jai.
Jai.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
All
Prabhuji.
glory to
We
Srila
enjoyed the
Prabhupada.
session today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is your name, Mataji?